I just remembered, you should make a giant mochi. Giant mochi. Giant mochi, please! Wow, you've got passion. But what is mochi? Let me tell you. Mochi is a Japanese rice cake made from short-grain glutinous rice and sometimes other ingredients such as water, sugar, and cornstarch. The popular fusion dessert known as mochi ice cream was actually invented in the 80s by Francis Hashimoto. And the little moons that are actually mochi ice cream were brought to us in 2010 and grew so popular on TikTok, bringing mochi to the world. So for those of you that requested little moons, this one is for you too. We're gonna begin with scooping some ice cream into balls and placing them on a parchment-lined tray to freeze. Then I made the dough by combining rice flour, sugar, and water in a large microwave-safe bowl, covering with plastic wrap and microwaving for 1-minute intervals, stirring in between until a sticky dough formed. Then I added a tiny bit of food dye and combined. You don't gotta look at how I messed that up a little bit. We want this pink, not red. Oh my God, I'm scared it's gonna be a lot now that you're like.
No, you have to leave it now. You have to.
Hell no, I don't want it to be red. It has to be pink. And this is just my preference. I wanted mine pink. You guys can do whatever color you want. Now it's time to roll out the dough and make our mochi ice creams. I did this by placing parchment paper on the counter and covering it with cornstarch. Grabbed up the dough and scraped it onto the surface, covering with more cornstarch and rolled it into a rectangle about 1/4 inch thick. Then I stuck the dough in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. This will let the dough set and become a little bit more stretchy. After it's set, I pressed out circles with a ring mold. Then put the ice cream in the middle of each circle by picking up one circle at a time, brushing off the excess cornstarch, placing the ice cream ball in the center, and then pressing the edges, sealing it with a squeeze on the top. Last, I wrapped each individual mochi in plastic wrap and stuck it in the freezer just to firm up and set appropriately. It can be in there for 2 hours. They can be in there for as long as 2 weeks too. These mochis last. They got life. While those set, let's make the traditional recipe. The biggest difference here is we're going to be using rice, not rice flour, to make the mochi. We're starting from the grain. We're working a little bit harder, and we'll be using a kine or a giant mortar and pestle to make our mochi just like they do in Japan. I got mine on eBay. I'll put an associate link in the description. First step is the day before. Rinsing and soaking the rice and then the kine in water and freezing a giant ball of ice cream. They're totally submerged thanks to JP's weights. JP, thank you for working out, not on this channel. Next day, I went ahead and drained all of that water out of the kine and the rice, and then right in the cheesecloth, I put the rice into a steamer. Thanks, Mom. That was a Christmas present from like 4 years ago. I'm using it! Once the rice was cooked all the way through, I threw the rice into our giant mortar and pestle, and then we had to pound it. We had to pound it a lot. Here's a lot of pounding. All right, JP, come over here because I'm gonna kill you.
Oh God. Are you gonna pound it?
You know that's what I like to do.
We're gonna do it together.
We're going to the dog pound. Oh, this is actually fun. Yeah. Ah. Dude, this is awesome. No wonder they do this. This is how they get exercise. I can only be positive when I'm doing something like this.
Oh, you missed it.
Did I? We just kept hitting it with the mallet. And we kept going until we cheated and we put it in the stand mixer. And then it was smooth. It was perfect. So here's our chance to make it pink. So just a little bit of food dye in, mix it all together, and then my dough is pink. Boom! Now it's repetitious, so I'm gonna do it really fast. We're putting down parchment paper, we're adding cornstarch, we're putting down the dough, we're adding cornstarch, we're rolling it out nice and thin, but this time we're not going to cut it small, we're gonna leave it big. We're putting our big ball down, we're squeezing the dough all the way around, flipping it and placing it in plastic wrap, setting in the freezer. She's big, she's really got a set. The more traditional flavors include green tea, chocolate, and strawberry. I went with a more exotic flavor of mint chocolate chip. It's just because it's what I like. I like mint chocolate chip a lot. So the idea is you're supposed to let these things set out a little bit before you eat them. That way they can go back to their kind of doughy consistency. I'm going in for a bite. Oh my God, that's so good. Mint chocolate chip ice cream was a good choice. Wow, look at this. One giant mochi for the health of it. Oh my goodness. Yum. You're welcome, internet. I made a huge mess. But it's a good day for mochi.